Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm sure we'll have a few more people coming on in. I want to welcome everybody back. I feel like it's been a really long time since we were last together. So I hope everyone had a nice summer and a nice fall. And maybe someday we'll work our way into winter, but it doesn't seem so right now. Um, a couple of announcements before we get started. Our guest today is Anit from the We Honor Veterans program, which I am actually really excited for everybody to hear about because I think it's a really cool program that might be relevant to a number of our task forces as they connect with veterans who are dealing with cancer. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, I want to invite people to offer feedback to the cancer plan. And Ella, you'll get the info out to people. Ella's already got it in the chat, so people can go there and review that and offer their own feedback. And then in January, when we meet, we will be working on action planning for this task force. And Ella, remind me, when will the cancer plan be published?
We're looking at early February for the launch.
Okay, so we'll get started then. And then we will be looking, let's see, I'm getting a message here. Talk about what went well and challenges and what we want to do next year in January. And let's see here. Oh, and I don't know how many people, Mark shared today that Brandon Martin, who some of you may know, who was involved, I guess, in the colorectal task force, he has passed away. So I just wanted to share that news. I didn't know him, but I think others did. Anyone else want to chime in with anything before I go ahead and turn it over to Annette? Okay. Then Annette, I'm going to turn it over to you. We can have you share your screen because I'm assuming you have some things to show us. There we go. And thank you.
All right. Welcome everyone. This afternoon I'll be talking about the Remembering Our Veterans program, which is a relatively new video memoir program that was started here in Colorado at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center, which is right next door to the CU Anschutz campus. Its scope has expanded significantly over the past few years, and so the purpose of this talk is just to give you an overview of the program, as well as some of the applications of the program. And so this is, again, we are the pilot site. We started it and developed it here in Colorado, and we're hoping to hopefully spread it to other VA medical centers. And again, it's not restricted just to the VA or veterans who are enrolled at the VA, but it's really for veterans in general. So before I dive into the applications, I just wanted to go over briefly the methodology of the program. So because we are doing these interviews and this memoir program is conducted primarily on camera, we do have some background information that we provide to veterans ahead of time, such as the questions that we may potentially go through, as well as tips on how to get best prepared. And so we always provide these materials ahead of time so that they have ample time to refresh their memories, take notes, and really go through the topics that they want to discuss and that are meaningful to them. Most of our interviews do touch upon their military service, but we don't have to touch upon it if they don't want to. And so we do have military heavy and non-military options for our interviews. And of course, the biggest thing is the flexibility. So veterans have the ability to modify and adjust discussion topics. And then because it's on camera, we also give them the opportunity to talk about, to include photos and videos and other memorabilia. Oh, and one more thing. We actively recruit throughout the hospital. So we have poster boards, we have flyers that are posted throughout the hospital. And again, I can also provide you PDF copies of these as well. So yeah. So here's our our setup, and this is actually our old setup. And the reason I showed this is to show you the evolution of the program. So before we needed a big bulky computer cart, and then we used like webcams and then a few other things to get this program started. And we did some other softwares as well. And so again, it was just really a bulky situation. And then this is our setup in Pueblo. But and then this is an example of a setup of an inpatient interview. So we have our system set up so that we can do interviews in the auditorium, or we can do it in inpatient rooms. Here's an example of the VA inpatient room. The reason I include this photograph is I want you to show the catheter bag on the floor and all the equipment, and just to show that we have a lot of flexibility in where we can conduct these interviews. And so because of our mobile setup, we can go anywhere in the hospital. Um, yeah. Now this is more of our updated setup. And again, we don't need a bulky computer station. Uh, and we've switched to using iPhones to do our interviews. And this is really important because without we and because now when we use battery packs and when we use iPhones, this allows us to do this program completely mobile. So we don't need to have access to an outlet or internet. So we are able to do these interviews completely on the road, and we've done that a few times where we've actually done interviews with patients who are not at the VA. So we can really take the program on the road, and we can do these interviews anywhere with the equipment that we have. It all fits in a tote-sized bag. Something that's really exciting is we've actually started doing virtual interviews. So a lot before our setup involved, in-person interviews, which are great and engaging, but to reach a more broad population for veterans who are outside Colorado or who are in rural or situations where they can't get to an in-person location, we've also started doing virtual interviews. So we can technically interview any veteran at any location as long as they have a stable internet connection and a laptop. So this is what the final product looks like. So we have a 2-camera setup. So we have camera A, which is on the left, and then camera B on the right. And so this allows us to capture that dynamic between the interviewer and the veteran. A lot of veteran history projects are just a single shot, so it's just the veteran talking. But I think it's important that we introduce that concept of having both a back and forth dialogue between the veteran and their interviewer. So most of the video is going to be camera A, which is just the veteran speaking, but I think it's important to show that connection with their interviewer with that camera B shot. So this is what it looks like, and then of course we cut back and forth between camera A and camera B. This is a nice montage overview of some of all of the interviews that we've done. We've done almost 100 interviews here in Denver, and then we've done quite a few in Pueblo as well. And so a lot of these interviews, again, the diversity is breathtaking. Just the amount of experiences that people have had and shared throughout their time in the military and elsewhere. Now, I want to go through some applications of the program, which could be important and relevant to this to your group today. So I'll be going through these 5 pillars or applications of the ROV program. And again, the important takeaway is that we do one sitting, we do one recording, right? But it has so many applications that are really, really important. So the first application is obviously it can be used as a private recording for veterans and family members, loved ones, and survivors. And so we can document each veteran so that their loved ones will never forget their appearance, their personality, their mannerisms, and the sound of their voice. So capturing these audio and visual aspects of veterans is essential, and doing it on camera in a video format is really special. So oftentimes people will unfortunately forget with time the sound of people's voices. So a lot of the times people will hold on to the voice recordings of their loved ones because that's the last thing that they have of their loved ones that have passed away. And so by doing this on video, it can be especially valuable for ancestry and funeral and memorialization services. So here's an example. So after a veteran had passed away, his family members included his interview on his funeral memorial cards. And so attendees who attended the funeral could scan his QR code and then watch or download his interview. So this really shows a long-term impact of the program on memorialization, and sort of shows how veterans can sort of transcend time by capturing their stories on camera. And so this veteran had passed away just a few months after he participated. He was sick, but he wasn't terminal at that point. The second application is reminiscence therapy and recreation therapy for veterans. And so veterans with dementia, it could be an important application for those veterans. So reminiscence therapy is a therapy where we use all our senses, such as sight, touch, taste, smell, and sound, to help individuals recall their past. And so especially patients with dementia. And so patients with dementia using reminiscence therapy can help them remember events, um, past people and places from their past lives. So in this case, none of the veterans here have dementia. But if they were to develop dementia, being able to see their interviews and hearing them describe with stories, pictures, even play music could be a really powerful way to help them if they do develop dementia as well. So physicians at the VA hospital and other caregivers can use the Memoir program for reminiscence therapy. And so this can help, especially veterans with dementia. And if their condition does worsen, viewing their interviews can hopefully help them better remember their past. The third application is the VA Veterans Legacy Memorial. And so the VA has three branches, right? So we have the main branch is going to be hospital and healthcare services, but the VA also has two other branches. One is for benefits, and the other is for memorialization services. And so when a veteran passes away and they're buried in a national cemetery, the VA will automatically create a memorial page for this veteran. So and so our interviews can have a direct impact. So families um, and so our interviews can be posted on the Veterans Legacy Memorial, which is a webpage that's completely public. People can go to this webpage and actually search up veterans who passed away. And it's meant to be like a tribute page to post basically pictures, tributes to these veterans, as well as photographs or even hopefully potentially videos. So here's an example of a veteran who'd passed away. So he had participated in June of 2023 and he passed away in September. And then we were able to post his interview on his memorial page. Another example of a veteran, and so this veteran had participated while he was in hospice. So he was terminal, and we had done his interview in his inpatient room at the VA. And so this was a great way to honor his legacy. So now families and survivors can benefit because they now have a digital record of their loved ones that can be cherished forever. And so once a veteran has passed away, their loved ones can use these interviews and post them on the Veterans Legacy Memorial page to the benefits of loved ones, friends, and family members. The fourth application that we'll be going through is the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. And this is to help benefit the general public, academic and research institutions, and future generations. So a few decades ago, the Congress had had established the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. So at the time, a lot of World War II veterans were starting to age and pass away. And at the time, a lot of people had video recording capabilities. And so it was a big push to record these stories of World War II veterans to help preserve their stories because of how much just the history that they had witnessed was extremely impactful. And so then now most households could record these stories at home. And so there was a big public push to record these stories and to archive them. And then this, of course, is now applicable to any veteran who had served. And so the Library of Congress can help academics, researchers, and the general public learn more about American history and military history and veterans history. So many members of Congress encourage their veteran constituents to participate in the Veterans History Project. And so the ROV program here at the VA can directly support the offices of senators and representatives in their efforts. So the general public, academic, and research institutions can all as well as future generations, can all benefit from the program's recordings once they've been archived at the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. So these are literally archived in DC at the Library of Congress, which is a beautiful library just adjacent to the Congress, and so the Capitol. So with these, with these videos, people, hopefully they don't, but if they lose these recordings, if we lose copies of these recordings, if for whatever reason we just lose sight of these recordings, the fact that they've been archived at the Library of Congress means that we can safely know that they're preserved, because we have to physically turn in our paperwork, we have to send in flash drives, physical copies to the Library of Congress, and they have a little cubby or a little storage container for every veteran, as well. So veterans who passed away, we worked with their next of kin to archive their veterans' stories. So we have archived 2 veterans who passed away to the Library of Congress, and in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the official .gov website where anyone can access these recordings. And again, it's mainly used for academics, for people who are historians, for example. And then the 5th application, which is more pertinent to public affairs, which would be that the mass public consumption of these stories through VA social media channels. So a lot of people aren't necessarily combing through government archives, but rather if we can post these on social media such as YouTube or elsewhere, it can help reach the masses and help connect the general public with veteran and military history. So by connecting these stories and posting them on social media, they receive tens of thousands of views, some almost 100,000 views. And so this is a great way for veterans who are interested in sharing their story with the public audience to do so. And so if they want to share it publicly, they're welcome to do so. And many veterans are happy that they can, that a lot of people comment on these videos, and then some veterans have even replied to these comments as well, answering people's questions and such. And then of course our local VA does like Veteran of the Week, like little stories of veterans, just to show the stories of every veteran is different. We've received, and then so those are the 5 applications. We've received some national and local recognition. So we've had like local news coverage of our program. So some of the veterans who participated were covered by local news because of how broad their story have been reached, because of thousands of views being hit. In addition, we've had national attention. So we've had a national story across all the VAs covering our program. And then finally, we've also received a few awards from the VA's National Voluntary Service Department. So that's it. In conclusion, these are, again, just an overview of what we do, and that's our montage, and then that's our team. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you so much. I was so excited that we were doing this the week of Veterans Day. And I think people can go, I had trouble in it trying to locate the videos. I had trouble searching them on the YouTube. Can you share
Oh,
that link in the chat?
yes, absolutely. So we are posting these on our local VA channel. So this is basically the Colorado channel. And so a lot of our story, we always give the option to veterans on whether or not they want to post it publicly. 100% of them have agreed to do it. So, yeah. So that's where they're posted. And then I recommend you sort by popular, and then you can see a lot of the interviews that we've done. And you can also see the evolution of the program, some of our older interviews versus some of our modern ones.
And how are referrals best made?
Referrals are best made. We have on our flyers, which I'll try and find a copy right now. But they're best made by either emailing the group email or calling us, the front desk, which is through the voluntary services front desk. So that's the best way to get in contact with us, for the most part. In addition, we do have the geriatrics department, for example, at the VA, is aware of the program, and so oftentimes if they know a veteran who is in hospice, they can contact us as well. And of course, if anyone knows of a veteran in hospice or in palliative care, again, we're welcome to receive referrals through the email system. How much notice do we need to connect with a veteran? So typically, we do, in terms of notice, it really depends. So we try and give veterans at least a few weeks to get ready, or at least a week, excuse me, to get ready. If it's more urgent, like if they're in hospice, then we can speed that up a lot more. But for the most part, we can really do interviews within a few days if it's urgent. But otherwise, we like to do our interviews in our auditorium, and so that we schedule out.
I'd love to grab an example of one and share. Do you have
An ex-
one that maybe a snippet of one that might be interesting? Because I
Uh,
mean, these are going over an hour.
oh yes. So give me 1 second. So let me pull up a flyer. Um,
Because we can share the flyer with the other task forces, right, to try to get that information out.
yeah, so I've just shared the flyer in the chat. In terms of like watching an example one, what we like to do is we like to include a nice story at the beginning just to bring people in. Let's do, let me look for one. A lot of them are great. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Okay. So let's see if will the audio go through? I'm not sure.
I am not our tech guru. Ella can help us.
It should. If it's not popping up, you should be able to see an option in like your top screening bar that will say sharing audio, but on
Oh,
default, I
I see it.
believe it should just do that.
Okay. So I can share a few of them. So again, the way we edit our interviews is we do minimal editing. So we try not to take stuff out, unless they request us to do it. So we don't condense it to as condensed a version as it could be. Rather, it's really just back and forth between the footage. But what we like to do is we like to take a little snippet from the interview that is kind of a draw-in, and then we start the whole interview.
So, how do you think you managed not to be injured?
I finally figured it out.
Well, tell me.
I'm short.
Ah.
No,
I believe you. I believe you.
the rest of the people are all at least an inch taller. You stand in a foxhole or a trench and your head sticks out. And then the other guy is me and it doesn't stick out. Guess who gets shot?
Well, you have wide feet and you're short.
Huh?
You have wide feet and you're short. Seemed to work in Italy.
Okay. So.
How far north in Italy did you go?
Yeah, so that is an example of a little clip. I can show you another one. So that was a World War II veteran, who was, again, this was one of our mobile interviews. So we had actually gone up to Louisville, Colorado, which is near Boulder, and then we had done his interview at a local nursing home in the area. And let's see.
So I kind of got it in my mind to ask to be an embed freelance photographer. I wasn't working for anybody. I approached the Army in New York City. I told them I was with the Army in Vietnam. I'd like to see how the Army lives today. And so I had to get my own body armor, my own Kevlar helmet. I had to get my airplane tickets to and from. They said, okay, they got me approval at certain locations with certain units to go to stay with them. The military, the Army would guarantee me transportation. That could be anything, food, and a place to sleep. And that can mean anything as well, MREs. And so I went with the idea that I just photographed anything and everything. I'm just observing, trying to get any sort of sense. What was the life like? What was the stressors about? Because I've already been through this a little bit already. And both in Iraq and Afghanistan, we weren't in a jungle environment. We're in a desert environment. But I can tell you, it felt the same way when we're driving down a narrow street in Baghdad, and I'm looking up 3 or 4 stories, and people are up top on cell phones. And I'm telling the lieutenant, the TC, the tank commander sitting in front of me in shotgun, I said, sir, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm in Ambush Alley. This is like being in the jungle, and you've got people on either side looking at you, beating the tom-toms or something, passing the word down the line, and sooner or later, somebody's going to put 2 wires together on a battery and blow up a 105 shell. Well, that's an IED today. We had command detonated booby traps. Same problem, new technology. And so we didn't know which one of these phones they were talking on or waiting to press a button and blow it up, or blow us up. So, the lieutenant said, Roger that. If anybody looks at me funny, sound out, because we'll light them up. And so all of a sudden, I'm a soldier again. I'm living this stuff. It was in my, I was keyed, I was alert. And so I started to feel what they were feeling to a certain degree. And you go on ops day and night. And it was spooky. And one thing I tell students, anybody I can get a two seconds with, for instance, Vietnam is a country. It's not a war. Vietnam is spelled 2 words. It always has been. Viet means people. Nam is south. That was to differentiate them from the north, the people of the north, which is the age-old enemy, the Chinese. And our style manuals and all the printing that we've had from middle 80s on spells Vietnam 1 word. So we really don't understand the cultural issues and the history of our war in Vietnam, or the French war in Vietnam. And you really need to look at the facts and dig a bit before you start believing things from emotional points of view.
Okay. So yeah, that was another example of a veteran who had served in Vietnam, and then he couldn't stop. He got obsessed with the history of the war, and so he actually had traveled back to the Middle East in the early 2000s, just to see the differences between Vietnam and then current wars as well. Any other questions?
There's a question
Oh,
in the chat that says, how did you
yes.
get started with this?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So, I've been volunteering with the VA for a while now. I've been volunteering for, I think, almost 10 years. And so during the pandemic, I'd also been doing some volunteering in the palliative care and hospice care units at the VA. And so all it was just giving veterans company, right? So then a lot of the veterans who didn't have family members in town or didn't have family members at all. So I would just sit and give them company for a few hours. And so the idea was really born out of just realizing that some of these veterans didn't have a next of kin, right? They didn't have anyone to really be there for them. And so they were sharing these really amazing stories. And so then I thought that this would be a great thing to do, was just to have the VA be a place where veterans can come and tell their story, right? And so the VA has, I think they like to say, they say that they have the largest voluntary service department in the country, right? So they have tens of thousands of volunteers. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to create a program that we have the resources for. So we have the people. So a lot of our volunteers are former veterans. They're people who are in their 70s and 80s who can connect with their with fellow veterans to help tell their story. So I realized that that because a lot of these veterans didn't have a next of kin, it was really unfortunate that their stories would die with them when they passed away. So having a way to record these stories when no one else would or could was the impetus for continuing this program. In addition, we have done a great job with the second interview that I had showed was our old setup, so it looks a little bit the resolution is a bit lower, the graphics aren't as good, but we have done a great job of keeping it up to date, right? So having like much higher quality, better graphics, that sort of thing. So we're continuously improving the program. So that was sort of why we started the program and why we keep it going. It's mainly because the VA is in fact, to my knowledge, this to my knowledge, this might be one of the very few, if not the only, video memoir program that is a government program. So there are a lot of programs out there that are helping veterans tell their story, but this is the one that's an actual associated with the government. And so that's why having these internal pipelines to have these videos that appear on the Veterans Legacy Memorial or to go through to the Veterans History Project, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
I think it's just fantastic. Thank you. And that the creativity it's just awesome.
Yeah.
And catching those stories. And I imagine there's even younger veterans. Do you get any younger veterans engaging?
We do. We do. So we've had veterans who are, in their 20s participate, who have just recently left the service. Um, for the most part, I mean, most of the veterans who are probably at the VA are on the older side, and so those are the main veterans that participate. But we don't have any restrictions. So yeah, we've had World War II veterans. We've had like a female 102-year-old veteran um, who had, believe it or not, had met Amelia Earhart when she was in third grade. So Amelia Earhart was on a speaking tour, and then because this veteran had been so interested in aviation, and that's what got her into. I think she was in the Navy. So she didn't go overseas, but she was sort of like Rosie the Riveter. So she helped build these aircrafts that had gone overseas during World War II. But she's not enrolled at the VA, but through friends or connections, we were able to get her to participate. So yeah. So we don't have any restrictions. As long as they're a veteran, they're welcome to participate.
I think that's great. We'll get this information shared out with the whole task force. We have a newsletter that goes out to hundreds, right, Carlin? We've got hundreds of people on it, and so we'll try to spread the word also.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or anything else that we want to cover today? Otherwise, we can make it a short meeting. But I think it was really awesome to have you come, Annette. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with the flyers, again, that has our group email on it as well as our phone number. So if anyone has any questions anytime, you're welcome to email us, and we'll get back to you very quickly. So yeah. The other thing I should mention is this is a lot of the program is being supported also by students as well. So we do a lot of student internships with local universities. So for example, one university, DU, so University of Denver, we've had lots of students who have helped me run the program during the summer or even during the semester. And so that's a great way for history students to get credit, academic credit. And so lots of any students who are interested, please reach out. In addition, because of our mobile kits, we can do interviews anywhere. So we're always looking for new volunteers. So if anyone wants to help, do interviews or anything, this is also a great opportunity for students, for people who have extra time in their day to help participate. Did I ever speak to or share this info with VFW or the American Legion? I have not. So we've been in contact with a few national headquarters, specifically DAV, but we have not been in local contact with local branches. If anyone would like to help me make that connection, that'd be great. But otherwise, I can always ask our local voluntary services department to make that connection. I believe I'd spoken to a group meeting maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago, but for the most part, most of the awareness of the program is coming directly through people at the VA. All right, thank you.
There we go, a connection. Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We'll give everybody back about 20 minutes so you can sneak out and enjoy the sunshine. And
One last little comment. Epic Experience will have our 2026 Hearts and Hope Gala on February 28th at the Four Seasons Hotel. And within this group of individuals, we have one special person that we are honoring. Ms. Carlin Calloway will be our epic hero. And so, again, we will honor her at our gala on February 28th.
excellent. Congratulations, Carlin. That well deserved.
Thank you. And thank you to all for what they do each and every day to help people in Colorado with cancer or affected by cancer.
So,
Can I pipe in too? So first, sorry for being off camera. I'm under the weather, but the pediatric task force is back and is having a meeting tomorrow at 12. So if you want to come to that, please let me know and I can make sure you get the Zoom link.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. We'll see you in January, right? Ella, do you know off the top of your head what the date is? I haven't moved on to my next year's calendar yet, so.
I think it's the 8th. And I'll send the invite really soon. January 8th, Thursday the 8th.
Perfect. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day, a great afternoon. And happy holidays and Thanksgiving. And I hope that travel plans are smooth for everyone.
thanks so much.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.